Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started the South India tour, and he came to Kurmakshetra, where seeing the deity, Lord Kurma, deity, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstatic mood and fainted. And after some time, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested his external consciousness, a priest of Lord Kurma deity gave him various offerings. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mode of preaching has already been explained, and I shall not repeat the explanations. In whichever village the Lord entered, his behavior was the same. That as soon as he sees a deity, his mood was Pratima nahi sakshat Narayana. The deity is not a Pratima. Pratima means carved after an image, but Sakshat Narayana. So this was the secret of his preaching, and he sees the Lord as he is, and he comes in his ecstatic mood. So text number 121. Kurma name ye sei grame vaidika brahmana bahu shraddha bhakti kaila prabhura nimantrana. In one village, there was a Vedic Brahman named Kurma. He invited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home with great respect and devotion. Ghareyani prabhura kaila pada prakshalana sejala vansha sahita karila bhakshana. This Brahman belonged to this Brahman brought the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home, washed his lotus feet, and with his family members drank that water. Aneka prakara snehe bhiksha karaila gosainar seshanna sa vanshe khaila. With great affection and respect, that Kurma Brahman made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eat all kinds of food. After that, the remnants were shared by all the members of the family. Jai Pada Padma Tomara Brahma Dhyana Kare, Sai Pada Padma Sakshad Aila More Ghare. The Brahmanas then began to pray, "O my Lord, your lotus feet are meditated upon by Lord Brahma, and these very lotus feet have come into my house. Mora bhagyera sima nayaya kahana, aji mora slaghya haila janmakula dhana." My dear Lord, there is no limit to my great fortune. It cannot be described. Today my family, birth and riches have all been glorified. Kripakaram Prabhu more yana toma sange, sahite na pari dukkha chaisa tarange, vishaya tarange. The Brahman begged Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "My dear Lord, kindly show me favor and let me go with you. I can no longer tolerate the waves of miseries caused by materialistic life." And the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this statement is appreciable for everyone, regardless of how rich or prosperous one may be, Narottam Das Thakur has confirmed this statement, Sansara Vishanale Divanishi Hiya Jwale. He states that a materialistic way of life causes a burning in the heart. One cannot make any provisions for the troublesome life of this material world. It is a fact that one may be very happy as far as riches are concerned, and one may be very opulent in every respect, yet one has to manage the Vishayas to meet the demands of the body and of so many family members and subordinates. One has to take much trouble to minister to others. Narottam Das Thakur therefore prays, Vishaya chadiya kabe shuddha bemana. Thus one must become freed from the materialistic way of life. One has to merge himself in the ocean of transcendental bliss. In other words, one cannot relish transcendental bliss without being freed from materialistic way of life. It appears that the Brahman named Kurma was materially very happy, for he expressed his family traditions as Janmakula Dhana. Now, being glorious, he wanted to leave all these material opulences. He wanted to travel with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. According to the Vedic way of civilization, one should leave his family after attaining 50 years of age and should go to the forest of Vrindavan to devote the rest of his life to the service of the Lord. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitanjena Tasme Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jatapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavansya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is a profound verse that 500 years back, the Vedic system, even in Kali Yuga, was prevailing. And certain pious families, out of his maturity in dharma, artha, kama, he would want to take advantage to go for moksha by giving up the family connections. One has to be exhausted from all material connections. And when one is having all the opulences and all the sense gratification at demand, yet he will become frustrated with it. So those who have been privileged to cultivate Krishna consciousness, they know by heart that the Vedic direction is that Panchashat Vanam Gachet. At the age of 50, one must retire and go to the forest. The forest was a place for Satya Yuga. All right? There are no forests, even in Vrindavan, as of today. Just for the sake of food, they will destroy everything, including Krishna's place of pastimes also. Otherwise, they will misuse the place to earn money from that place. So, the aim of life is totally topsy-turvy. They think they are privileged because they are born in such a holy place like Barsana, Vrindavan, Nandagam. Because their family members are increasing, the opulence is decreasing in Kali Yuga, and they compete. Even for their residences, they have to encroach upon Krishna's properties. The culture is not promoted by the government, so there is so much disadvantage for the Dhamvasis that even though they cannot do, but they beg some help from the pilgrims. If they had enough, they would retire and exclusively fix their position in service of Krishna. During, say, 500 years back, when the Goswamis were sent by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan, it was jungle. So the principles of retirement was observed by them, and they were able to meditate on Lord Sri Krishna through chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that they received from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Goswamis were so much in rapt attention that not only they fulfilled the varnashram requirement, but at the same time they become benevolent for the other people to come. But you can say, prior to the Goswamis came, that area was completely atheistic. The Buddhism took over the Mathura districts. Relics of Lord Sri Krishna are not to be found. Atheism was pervading. And during that time, we do not know, but the atrocities were there. Ashoka, the king, killed so many devotees. At that time, even Brijvasis were exterminated. Buddhism started about 2200 years back. So they ruled for about another 2000 years. It was spread. The atheism was spread and as far as Afghanistan and the lower region of Russia. Such a vast empire Ashoka created. They call it Mahabharata. But what is the glory of atheism? It has to be kicked out. So, at the expense of the people's qualification under darkness, it gave more freedom for Adi Shankara to spread atheism in order to be supported by the Vedic authority and kick Buddhism out of India. That is the history. Advaita Siddhant, atheistic Siddhant, over another kind of atheism. One atheism replaced the other atheism. But one was without the authority of the Vedas that Lord Buddha instituted, and Adi Shankara instituted with the Vedic authority by misinterpreting the Shastras, like Aham Brahmasmi. That is their cardinal thing. But Goswamis have to work out to re-establish pure Vaishnavism, the glories of Lord Shri Krishna and the pastimes. They were supposed to excavate. So they meditated on the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they found so many places that we are knowing today. There were others also, but the significant work was done by our Goswamis. They went on the pretext that Panchashat Vanam Gachet is a principle that one has to retire from materialistic life of dharma, artha, kam, and go for moksha in the holy places of pilgrimage, Vrindavan. Prabhupada invites older folks only. Those who have been 50 over, they are welcome to stay in Vrindavan. He didn't say anything about women, children. No. The older folks. That the aim of or the purpose of going to Vrindavan is to meditate on the absolute truth. By meditating on different pastimes, the divinity within them will be reawakened, rekindled, and they will go back home, back to Godhead in their original constitutional position as the servant of Lord Shri Krishna. To facilitate that, Prabhupada put up the education system also, and everybody can take advantage of it. But this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught by his personal example. We become oblivious by observing the deity. That we are so much attracted. Radha Kalachandji, Radha Govindji, all the deities are so much in tune, but how would Srila Prabhupada would see? And how are we observing? That's the difference. We have to increase the meditative aspects on understanding the divinity and the activity which is performed, janma karma cha me divyam, and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So our meditation is being now taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how he did it at Kurmakshetra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be at par with Lord Shri Krishna's position, which is called Vishuddha Sattva. One has to become, to come up to the point of Vishuddha Sattva to understand Lord Shri Krishna. This is how Lord Brahma is teaching. In Brahma Samhita he says, Maya hi yasya jagadanda satani sute traigunya tad vishaya veda vitaya mana sattvaavalambi parasattvam vishuddha sattvam govindamadi purusham tamam bhajami. So we have been given guidance that when we approach the deity, how we will have to develop the unison, how the pujaris have to develop the unison, how those who are congregational members, how they have to observe. It is not a technique, but it is education. So in this way, the methodology to approach the Lord Shri Krishna is been already established. Otherwise, how one can realize in front of the atheism so much pervading everywhere, why we have to become so much distinguishedly separated in the approach of the Supreme. Most of us were agnostic, most of us were ignorant, most of us were traditionally hooked up only superficial aspect of the deity. We love to go where the deities are there. That is ingrained in. But at the same time, we do not know anything about the methodology. We knew only part and parcel, a little bit of initial aspect of attraction towards the deity. Or we may keep in the house, but we do not have anything beyond the bodily conception of life. We worship the deity. Unknowingly also we try to put up some kind of respectful relationships or maintaining. But at the same time, Krishna is the wholesome, in totality, everything. And yet, most of us were taught to nourish the deity, so in reciprocation we will be nourished. That is called pushti. Pushti means nourishment. So, everybody gave little, but little doesn't make whole. A wholesome approach Srila Prabhupada brought. Because in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes to South India tour for specific reason. He is the Lord, Supreme Lord, he knows. He collects two major treatises. People are confused about the divinity of Sita. So, after this Kurmakshetra, he will be traveling further south, where he receives the treatise on Sita as Maya Sita. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so much excited. And that too, after he was returning from South India, he got it. In Adikeshu temple, he got Brahma Samhita. He brought the copy of it and gave it to Swarup Damodar, his secretary. And both of them scrutinizingly, offered the explanations and realizations. Then why the Supreme Lord has to bring as a literary enlivening, spiritually and realizing too. So literary enlightenment then, because there was no other support system to prove that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma Samhita does that job. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knows why he has to go. He was anxious to travel. He didn't want to take anybody else because they might distract him. That who was his assistant, who was allured by Bhattahari's Krishnadas. He didn't want him, but he tolerated. But when he came back to Jagannath Puri, he told, okay, I'm giving you another assignment. Go to West Bengal. So under the pretense of assignment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleared his way that he was a disturbance. So in teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't want any even these commonalities which will be coming as disturbance in his efforts to prove that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is all in all, and he has to be present. He was himself Lord Shri Krishna, Radha combined, so he knew. And what he is supposed to do according to time, place and circumstances, he knew. So here we see Prabhupada is telling that this is the style of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching. The next verses will be also substantiating how our ISKCON that Srila Prabhupada brought in with the same methodology of educating, in other words, re-educating the ignorant souls who are engrossed in sense gratificatory life, how to pull them out. So gradually they will be on the path, because to refrain from 4 regulative principles, that is a must to secure the purity in which Krishna will be giving guarantee. They are all 4 sense gratificatory activities, and they have to be curbed. So these are anartha nivritti, which becomes by principle one of the important steps in cultivating bhakti. Without removal of anartha nivritti, one cannot go for nishtha. Nishtha is a reconfirmation. So we have been emphasizing about the reconfirmation of what our belief, Adau Shraddha, but what is the difference between Shraddha and Nishtha? What is the difference? Ahituki? Anartha nivritti, but Shraddha can be shaken up. Nishtha cannot be. It's a very confirmed faith. That is called that if these steps are not there, your faith will not be verified. You have to know whether your faith is rightly placed or not. Otherwise, Prabhupada says, ordinary faith can change. Today you are Muslim, you will become Christian tomorrow, and again you can become Hindu. Because their faith is not verified. How would you, to my knowledge, limited knowledge, in Christianity as well as in Islam, there is no verifiability of the faith. Because they don't have anything like anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti, one has to go and work for it, just like panchashat vanam gachet. And this Brahmana knew that what he has been performing in dharma, artha, kam was attached with so much bondage. So much bondage. So therefore he has to retire. So he knew within himself, everybody within the household, they are not supposed to follow Brahman. Let them have attachment. Everybody is an individual and must have an individual effort about anartha nivritti to get out. You cannot do wholesale. It is a self-cleansing process. Everybody has to do for himself. So, for that reason, the Brahman is very, very anxious to go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that system was there. Those who are liberated from the very beginning, they have no restriction. At any age they were going. Nityananda Prabhu was taken up by the sannyasis to assist him under the pretext, and Hadai Pandit, his father, gave him easily. Okay, go. Travel right from the very beginning. Accompany a sannyasi to, follow in that footsteps. That's why the assistance is mutually beneficial. We may not have any idea that we have to give up once, people are hanging on the attachments, So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he prayed, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Vairagya Vidya. You emphasize Vairagya, and Vidya means the knowledge of it. That why it has to be done. That is Bhakti Yoga. It also says in Bhakti Rasamrita, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janetyasya Jnanam Vairagyam Chadahitukam. Ahituki means causeless. Detachment and the knowledge are concomitant factors to know that we are really progressing in Krishna consciousness. These two are coming. So, more serious we become, we will realize more. It's not, okay, I will stay forever. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, sthana sthita. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said that one must uphold the Vedic principles of Panchashantavanam Gachet. If there is no one, go to the temple and associate with the devotees. But older folks, so much attached, they will just come to the temple, have darshan and sit on the benches outside to talk politics. They don't have iota about spirituality. Because of this slave mentality, it has been developed from so much bygone ages. The Buddhism did, and then came the Muslims, and then came the Hunas and all others, and British came. All were imposing slave mentality. But Prabhupada is freeing us from all that slave mentality. One by material nature, one is a slave within the body, or by religious method. Organized religions are imposing you to become slave, not develop. Even internally, you have to go through scrutinizing, methodology. Anyway, the idea is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an ideal teacher, and he wants to teach by his practical example the tenets of bhakti. So therefore, in this particular verse, Srila Prabhupada writes that this statement of request of Brahmana that he wants to come with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is applicable for everyone, regardless of how rich or prosperous one can be. Narottam Das Thakur sings Sansara Vishanale Dibahishi Hiyajwale. Hiya means Hridaya. Dibanishi means day and night. But who understands those who are engrossed in Sanskrit victory activities? They will not have any idea. Bhogeshware prasaktanam taya pratachetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhav na vidhiyate. They will never develop the idea that their bhog and aishwarya is limited. So those who are respecting the social rules and regulations for the purpose Lord Krishna himself established the Varnashram system. But the cardinal principle said, Atapumbi dvijasreshta Varnashrama vipakras svanutishthasya dharmasya samsiddhim haritoshanam. Stay wherever you are. Sthane sthita but shrutigatam tanumangme. All our activities have to be checked by the verdict of the Shastras. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's request. It doesn't mean that we are doing bhakti, we are automatically cleared out of it. No. You are also working, but what will be the supervision that our activities are really entangling us or liberating us? We know karmic activity in reciprocation with our taking the fruits of our work is going to bind us. You may have to do as an obligatory process to your family and friends, but still it's your own responsibility because you are the head of household. You have to have a calculated timeline drawn. You have to make sure there is a replacement for you. Generally it is the son to take care. So, in this way we see that Krishna gives opportunity even by the nature of the age and dysfunctionalities that comes. Krishna is telling us, get the hell out of here now. Come on, come to me quickly. You tried it? Now don't be dragged into the sacrifice of the self in the whirlpool of samsara. No. So, how can we achieve without Visaya Chariya? So, Visaya Chariya Serase Majiya Bolo Mukhe Mukhe Hari Hari. But that situation will only come when we understand the purpose of Vishaya Chariya. Kabe Shuddha Habe Mana. My mind will become purified if I give up sense gratificatory activities. And that will be the qualification to enter in Vrindavan. So, Prabhupada has given a blanket invitation to the elderly. Don't waste your time in the house. Get out and come to Vrindavan. But we see very few elderly people are coming. So the devotees have to bring their parents. At least they can do that. And many are doing it. And they're trying to follow in the best time, place and circumstances this process and give advantage for their elderlies. There are so many things that can be verified by realized souls like Kunti even. The Janma Aishwarya Sruta Sribhi Edamana Madhapuman Naiva Hartam Abhidhatum Vaitvam Akinchana Gocharam. One has to become exhausted from all these material so-called sense gratificatory activities and become akinchana, unattached. Kinchana means something, but akinchana means nothing. No exceptions. So, this is very important that we learn this by so many devotees' examples. And Srila Prabhupada's example is the best. Follow in his footsteps, he will become a kinchana. He came as a kinchana, but he manifested kinchana. Something tangible, but that is what we call miracle. Then Srila Prabhupada can create from nothing to something which is extremely important, and gives a proper guideline in order to educate the people in general. So thank you very much. Anybody has any question?
Few questions. First question, you mentioned that Prabhupada said that only the elderly people should go to.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for your class. So like you mentioned, Prabhupada said that only elderly people can come to Vrindavan.
Prabhupada invited elderlies. Didn't encourage image. So children especially, he says no. And especially girls, no. They have to be kept and trained by their mothers.
So what if parents are planning to send their kids into Gurukul or some other school?
Gurukul is only for boys, not for girls. There are no girl Gurukuls, are there? Yes, Sadhu. Prabhupada told it's the duty of mother to raise the girls and engage them as their assistant, so they will learn everything.
So if mother wants to stay in Vrindavan to raise kids over there.
Yeah. But then we have to have a lot of vigil in Vrindavan. How to protect the girls. There are a lot of cases, especially devotee from Australia and New Zealand and US. They bring the whole family and let boys and girls get loose. There are incidents. There are some prominent disciples of Srila Prabhupada settled in Vrindavan, but there was no vigil on the boys and girls mixing, so and ISKCON of Vrindavan has to go through so much, scrutiny. Then we have to, dismantle the whole thing. Otherwise, there was a marriage bureau for that too. And all the local boys were who are attracted for the girls only, they became pernicious problem. One girl was shot dead by a local whose relatives were in government. So he got a pistol and shot her. Right in the complex where I stay.
incident may happen anywhere, Maharaj. Like even that can happen over here
Yeah,
also.
but we have to come well prepared for other alternatives if it's available.
My question is like, would not the spiritual potency that we have in Vrindavan, would not that help us to raise our kids becoming more Krishna conscious over there?
If you have boys, yes, send them. But for the girls, I think they will be best protected by both parents only. If they go to Gurukul or some other, Prabhupada never established a Gurukul for the girls. So they will be at the mercy of some local stuff, and it's not good. Unless parents can bring the girls, raise the girls, if they become totally responsible to raise them. I mean, by the standard of the age that is going through in Vrindavan, it's completely commercialized. And the modern technology of this, filming the cute girls as Radha and this and that, and made them play like Krishna Leela. They were in trouble. Some boys are coming to make their own Leelas there. I mean, it's a nuisance. That is not required. So it is better than the household life. You can practice here. You have taken risk for our girls here also to be exposed to the Western culture and take the risk, But there also the risk will be there. If not this kind, but some other kind. But everything leads to, a self-gratificatory life and completely distracting ourselves in Krishna consciousness. So all that has to be well thought out and prepare. Yes, you can come retired. The girls will be ready to get married and select some initiated devotees only. Like that.
So you also mentioned that we have to be more meditative, we have to increase our meditation. So my question is, if somebody doesn't have good enough taste in chanting as well as reading Prabhupada's book, so how that person can become more meditative?
By association, you can expose, you can invite them. There is no harm in it. But the Panchashat Vanam Gachet means by that time you have actively performed all the activities of Dharma, Artha, Kama. But after that, you are supposed to be retired. Means you are also free from settling the children. Girls were married off, boys are also married, but then you hand over to your son to raise the family. The system is there. You take your wife go for pilgrimage, but if you want to take sannyas, then hand over your wife in the care of your son. The system is there. How are we applying and how much are we transgressing that much risk we will have to bear. But Srila Prabhupada's invitation to elderly is very significant. That you go out. If you can't travel like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at least come to Vrindavan. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. You brought up several significant points. One is this whole idea of, well, and we know that the Vairagya as well as, leaving Vishaya, leaving our material attachments is a necessary step, at least from a desire standpoint, to get to Vrindavan. So there's a couple of situations here. One is that we see that going to Vrindavan for, without sufficient detachment can create, as you just mentioned, a commercial attitude where we go in there and essentially create a very convenient situation to stay there. I need air conditioning there, I need a big house there, I need all the different facilities that I had before I actually transitioned into Vrindavan. And that creates a bigger disturbance than actually not going. And the second part of that is that Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan to come to the US. And right now we see that the need in various parts of the world is that there are these senior mature devotees that can come and serve without any expectations of financial returns or very minimal financial returns, to actually help in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So both these are difficult situations both these situations have to be, how do you understand when and how should you make that transition and where that transition should be?
If you follow Prabhupada's instructions, they are sufficient. As for example, when temple in Juhu was under construction, Srila Prabhupada in 75 or so, he would personally manage the accounts because most of the temples have been made through the payments of BBT. Now, somebody brought him some bills, so Prabhupada could write the check and put up there. So, from Vrindavan, the president brought certain bills so Prabhupada can release the money. Prabhupada saw there was one bill, about 3,500 rupees or something like that, from Nanda Kishore Mukutwala in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada said, "What is this?" "Oh, Prabhupada, we got some for the deity ornaments, or some cloth has to be done this way and that way." And Prabhupada objected. "Why are you going to these rascals? What are our women doing? Can't you engage them to make this? If they don't know, learn the arts. This is devotional service. I'm not going to pay this bill." He told, even at that time the president was Dhananjay Prabhu from UK. He said, "Dhananjay, you make a factory to mold Gaurnitai deities, and you distribute profusely. even Gaur-Nitai in a house of meat eaters will do miracles. But nothing. So we end up, making Vrindavan rich. And they are increasing the prices, skyrocketing. Nandakishore Mukutwala was a good friend of mine. We need green, means dollars. Every shop has Prabhupada's photo. But Prabhupada was not in favor of that. The art of doing all these things is available. It becomes devotional service if we adopt it. But all the ISKCON centers now dependent upon the Vrindavan. In Mayapur they started doing their own. Even in Ujjain they started on their own. But it is not coming in comparison to the whole world is converging in Vrindavan, Loi Bazaar. I said, this Loi Bazaar is sucking up blood only. Blood is also called Loi. So like that. If we follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, the life would have been much more simpler and very serious. If we are surrounded by opulence and comfort, then it takes another turn. What do you think? Simple. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the insightful class. I think you touched on many different points, and I would like to probably go back and dissect some of them. One of the things that appeared interesting to me that you mentioned was how one can become slaves to religion and politics. And in my short perception, it might seem like some of these issues that arise in ISKCON, which are highly politicized, especially even for people who live in a temple community where there's things that go on, are covered up, or things of this nature. Do you see that one can become that might take place within our own society? And if so, how can we go about it? How can one overcome that issue?
Apani acharite sikhailo bhagavad dharma. We have to practice and then to teach others. That's the only way. These are direct orders for those who are students of bhakti literatures. You practice and then you can tell others to practice. If you are not practicing, how can you tell others to practice? So, practical examples should be there. Even Krishna gives the same idea, in I think 4th chapter about karma. You have to do yourself and then become ideal example for others. Na buddhi vedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam. Those who are attached to the fruits of their work don't create a confusion in their mind. Joshayet sarva karmani mukta sangam samacharet. All the activities must be practically demonstrated by the person who is teaching. Without confusion, he would employ and offer it to Krishna, So a person who is teaching must be a mukta person, means free from that particular activity, then he will be able to preach. If we are attached ourselves and then we teach, it becomes contrary. That is hypocrisy. Why should we preach if we are not practicing it?
Maharaj, we as practicing devotees, I shouldn't even call devotees, at least myself, we try to convey the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada to others, but we are trying to follow, but there will be mishaps here and there, and we are ourselves, myself struggling to, but still can I try to give that message to others? I'm contaminated, I'm trying to purify myself, but it's also necessary that it doesn't mean I'm not trying, it doesn't mean I'm giving up, but I still want to give that message to others. I'm trying to, but in that process, can I still give to others?
Yes. So what is the problem? Do it. But as much as you do, that much you can preach. Then you can tell as an objective that you are trying to achieve the higher state. So let them be informed like that. There are higher states. Don't be satisfied. I'm not satisfied. But do, this is the practice that will reach you the higher state. So that much you can preach. As much you have ingested, that is going to be absorbed. And meanwhile, on the progressive aspect, it takes time. So go on that line, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyam mama vartamano vartante manusya partha sarvasaha. In the degree of our approach, Krishna reciprocates. And this path has been chalked out by him for each and every one of us. But we have to be honest with ourselves, so we can be honest with Krishna. Like that. What is to be honest with Krishna if we are not honest with us?
Thank you.
So on a very practical level, Maharaj, this whole idea of, at the time of 50 actually transitioning from householder to either a vanaprastha situation or further, how would you recommend doing that?
You can invest in Vrindavan, make your future residence. Meanwhile, you rent it, all right? You may go and visit, take your family, but for a short time, and don't try to stay and put the life of everybody in jeopardy. That is more practical. Yes, it is time. As long as you work hard, you have some money and you are investing. That's how so many people have invested, and they are all empty. But you won't get rental even when it is time for some festivities coming. It is crazy. Anything else? Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Maharaj.